Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. It is now 2026 and today's video is my first Q1 TBR jar picks. In this video we will discuss my picks from my fourth TBR of 2025 and then we will use my TBR jar to pick the first reads of 2026. I'm very excited for this, so let's jump straight into it. Reviewing the books from TBR 4 from 2025, I read Snap, which was my book club read. This book was a borrowed copy, so I don't have it in physical form anymore. There is not a book review of this coming out, but I thought it was okay. It was a murder mystery from the point of view of a child, which was quite refreshing. They were a thief. I felt that it used a lot of cliches. Everyone was presumed male, and it was a discussion in our book club. A lot of the older members of my book club thought it had good female representation because one person was female and they didn't suspect her because she was female. But I actually thought that wasn't good representation because that's not how it should be, you know? Men and women should all be equal. But anyway, I did guess who did it as well rather early on, so that doesn't help, which is one of the problems I generally have with murder mysteries. I can quite often guess who did it, and I love a murder mystery when I can't guess who did it. But it was an easy, quick read. It is a good holiday read. I gave that 3 stars out of 5. My Pratchett read for TBR 4 was Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. This I loved. There's a review coming. I will pop a link above me when this comes out, and I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5. It is the first Industrial Revolution Discworld book, which has Moist von Lipwig. It's great. I then had my 3 TBR picks for this review, and that was Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second Brandon Sanderson I have read, and again there will be a book review. I'll pop a link above when that comes out. And I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5 as well. It was quite a good TBR jar pick in terms of my stars for these books. I also had Feybound by Sarah L. Arifi. This one, there's a book review coming out, links above me now. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. But it is one that I absolutely adored. The representation of transgender characters, of LGBTQ plus representation as well. It was fantastic for that. So I have bought the second book in this, which is a trilogy, which is called Cursebound, and Earthbound, which is the final book of this trilogy, is coming out this year. So depending on how I find Cursebound, I will likely pre-order Earthbound as well. It's not my favoritist of books, but because of its representation, I found it very refreshing and it is a good time. And the final book that was from my last TBR Q4 of 2025 was Letters from Father Christmas, edited by Bailey Tolkien, and they are the collected letters from J.R.R. Tolkien to his children. There will be a book review coming out of this, but it will be December of this year, 2026. I film ahead of time. I don't like to read pressured, so I do bring these book reviews out quite often, quite a while after I have read. I film them though after I've read them, so they're still fresh in my head. So if my hair is grown by the end of this year, and then you see me come up with this short hair because of my donation, you know why. I gave it 5 stars. It is a really wonderful read. That is my sum up for Q4 TBR picks, the last jar of 2025, which means we're now on to my 2026 Q1 TBR jar picks, and I'm so excited. First of all, I'll let you know the Terry Pratchett I need to read in Q1, and that is Thud by Terry Pratchett. This is another one in the Guards series. If you're not new here, I'm reading the entire Discworld series in order. Link is above me now to the playlist of those. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. Coombe Valley. That was where the trolls ambushed the dwarfs, or the dwarfs ambushed the trolls. It was far away. It was a long time ago. But if he doesn't solve the murder of just one dwarf, Commander Sam Vimes of Ankh-Morpork City Watch is going to see it fought again, right outside his office. With his beloved watch crumbling around him and war drums sounding, he must unravel every clue, outwit every assassin, and brave any darkness to find the solution. And darkness is following him. Oh, and at 6 o'clock every day, without fail, with no excuses, He must go home to read Where's My Cow with all the right farmyard noises to his little boy. There are some things you have to do. Sam Vimes now has a child, which is going to be hilarious. It's another Discworld book. I have to read it. That's my Pratchett read of Q1 for the TBR jar. The book club read for Q1 of my TBR jar is The Christmas Eve Murders by Noelle Albright. As I've already said from Letters for After Christmas, you'll probably see a review of this in my 2026 December book reviews for Christmassy reads, but it is my book club pick for the first quarter of this year. We do read it over Christmas and January. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. It's Christmas Eve at the Merry Monarch. Nestled amongst the Yorkshire Dales, the pub is preparing to host its annual scavenger hunt for its rabble of regulars. This year they are joined by Maddie Marlowe, a journalist who was homeward bound to Edinburgh for Christmas, only to be stranded by car failure and by the snowstorm that's closing in on the village. But Maddie's arrival won't be the only surprise of the night. When the power is cut off and darkness descends, the hunt turns deadly. Maddie and her companions must try to find the murderer amongst them, as it seems one of the group would kill to win. This does have reviews. Women at Home says cozy crime gets festive. Best says really good fun. Christmas at the Merry Monarch can be deadly. It's another murder mystery. I think we read a murder mystery last Christmas. For some reason we all find cozy murder mysteries good Christmas reads. I can't explain this, but that is the book club pick for the first quarter of 2026. And now we are up to picking from the TBR jar. Give it a good shake. Wish me luck. I adore doing this. It also scares the hell out of me. I can feel my stomach like churning. It's excited and scared of what's going to come out of this. So I'm going to dig. Oh god, I've got so many in my hand. The first prompt from the TBR jar is a new author to me. Okay, I could use this actually for, if you see my New Year's book tag, I'm going to put in one of the books that I must read. And the book I will choose, okay, let's do one of the wintry ones so I read it whilst it is dark. Either The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden or The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. Which one? Which one's older? I think this one's from Oxfam. I think I was given this one by my sister. I think it's one that they were getting rid of. I will read this one. Okay, we're going to read The Bear and the Nightingale. I know Matt's read this. This will be the first TBR pick for 2026. Beware the evil in the woods. In a village at the edge of the wilderness of northern Russia, where the winds blow cold and the snow falls many months of the year, an elderly servant tells stories of sorcery, folklore, and the Winter King to the children of the family. Tales of old magic frowned upon by the church. But for the young, wild Vazia, these are far more than just stories. She alone can see the house spirits that guard her home and sense the growing forces of dark magic in the woods. This has a review on the back from Naomi Novik, who's one of my favourite authors, and it says, a beautiful deep winter story full of magic and monsters and the sharp edges of growing up. Psychology says enchanting, fierce and otherworldly. Robin Hobb, extraordinary, wonderfully layered and stylized, beautiful literary fairy tale. It sounds good. Oh no! I just dropped my TBR all over the floor. Oh no. The last one that I put back in this jar, that's going to be the prompt I pick for the second TBR pick. Okay, and that is this one here. The second prompt for 2026 is a Mitchell universe. Oh, Matt is going to be so happy that came up. So that refers to David Mitchell, who is Matt's favourite author. He adores David Mitchell. So I'll be back with one of his books. Okay, so for a Mitchell universe, the second TBR pick of 2026, I have chosen The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. This is one that Matt recommends for me to read. He thinks I'll like it because it goes to ancient Japan when not a lot of people were allowed into the country. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. In your hands is a place like no other, a tiny man-made island in the Bay of Nagasaki. For 200 years, the sole gateway between Japan and the West. Here, in the dying days of the 18th century, a young Dutch clerk arrives to make his fortune. Instead, he loses his heart. step onto the streets of Dejima and mingle with scheming traders, spies, interpreters, servants, and concubines as two cultures converge. In a tale of integrity and corruption, passion and power, the key is control of riches and minds and over death itself. It does have reviews. Katie Guest, Independent on Sunday, says, dive in and lose yourself in a world of incredible scope, originality, and imaginative brilliance. Holly Kite, Sunday Telegraph, says, a heady potion of betrayal, love, superstition, power politics, and murder, and all this in the most extraordinary prose. Boyd Tonkin, Independent Books of the Year, a pitch-perfect masterclass in the art and magic of narrative. It was shortlisted for the James Tate Black Memorial and Commonwealth Writers' Prizes. It does also have the front. The Sunday Times says, spectacularly accomplished and thrillingly suspenseful, it brims with rich involvement and affecting humanity. Whoa! I have read David Mitchell before. I've read Black Swan Green, I've read The Bone Clocks, and I've read Slade House. This will be my fourth David Mitchell book. David Mitchell's partner is Japanese. David Mitchell did teach English in Japan for many years, so he does know a lot about Japan, so I'm excited to jump into this one. And now it is time for the third and final TBR jar pick of quarter one of 2026. It's going well so far, I want to say. The final prompt is a reread. Damn it! Oh, a reread. I always find rereads quite hard because I'm trying to get through my TBR, not read books again. Whoa. Oh, I have thoughts on this one. There is a sci-fi I could reread that Matt has bought the second of. He does say you don't have to read the first one though, because it kind of is not exactly the same, but it tells you what you need to know. I could read the first Terry Pratchett again because I started my Discworld series before I started doing book reviews on this channel. So that could be a good one to rekindle that and to start. But I'm busy reading the Discworld series in order, so do I want to go back to the start again already? I'm going to have a look at my bookshelves. I will be back. Currently, I'd be leaning towards The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett, which is Pratchett's first Discworld book, to read that to start the earlier books as book reviews for this channel. There is also Across the Nightingale Floor by Leanne Hearn. Now this is a trilogy, and I already do actually have a big series on the go that I am borrowing from a member of the book club I'm in. I also have a trilogy already that is one of my priorities for this year, which is the Trudy Canavan series, the Age of the Five trilogy. So I do already have a trilogy, but I do own this whole trilogy. It's not exactly a huge read. It could be a good one. Last time I got reread, I read Snowflower and the Secret Fan, which was a book I read all the way back in uni. And I ended up still wanting to keep it. It was still an amazing read. So it would be similar to that. I could reread this and see if I want to keep it so that I can clear space on my bookshelf if I don't. This I also read at uni. It was an Oxfam find and I remember absolutely loving it. The final choice is The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. I read this in high school and my partner Matt actually bought this for me, I think at uni, because I told him it was one of my favourite reads at the time, but I've never actually read it again, so I haven't actually read this copy. So I could read that to see if I still love it and see if I would keep it again. So these two could clear room on my shelf. The Terry Pratchett one would help the Discworld series playlist because it's going back again. Now that I'm holding them, I'm leaning towards these two. This one I know will be an easier, faster read, but it is a trilogy. So if I read this, I'd have to then read the rest of the trilogy. This one is it's part of a trilogy, but I only actually own one of the books. This one's bigger. This one's faster. You know, I'm going to go for this one. I already have a book based in Japan. I already have a fantasy, so I'm going to go for a horror and really mix up my genres for this one. It is a mystery, but yeah, I think with this, I actually think I've got quite a few different genres for this TBR jar. So this is my third and final pick. It is a reread. I read this originally in high school. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. Can a ghost haunt a ghost? Can the dead reach out and touch the living? Can ancient evil be made manifest? These are the questions that confront psychic investigator David Ash when he delves into the mysterious events terrorizing the community of Sleeth, a small, quaint village hidden away in the Chiltern Hills. In Sleeth, he will fear for his own sanity as each dark secret is unveiled and terrible malign forces are unleashed. For the full horror will be beyond imagination. Sleeth, where the dead will walk the streets. And it says Vintage Herbert, a classic, and that's from the Daily Mail. Alright, we've done it. Let us recap. So for my Terry Pratchett read of quarter 1 for 2026 is Thud by Terry Pratchett, a continuation of the Guard series. For the book club read for the first quarter, it is The Christmas Eve Murders by Noelle Albright. And the TBR picks for this one, a new author to me. We are going with The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I've never read a Catherine Arden before. For a Mitchell universe, we are going for The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet by David Mitchell. And the final TBR pick for a reread is The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. So we have a murder mystery, another murder mystery, but a fantasy murder mystery. We have a fairy tale, kind of fantasy. We have a historical fiction, and we have a horror, which is kind of actually also a mystery. So quite a few mysteries in here, but they are delving between fantasy, horror, historical fiction, fairy tale. I think this is quite a good mix. My quarter 1 TBR picks. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post on bookish pictures, as well as more tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!